I get asked this question constantly. Does it really matter what I look like at work and how I show up? And it's really dress for the job that you want.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening through 200 episodes. We are at the end of season 6, and it's a special episode, The Rise of the Female CEO. Special episode and special people. We got Nicole returning, entrepreneur, CEO, founder of many different organizations supporting women in business, Nicole McMackin. And we've got Lisa Merage from Raj Manufacturing. She made your swimsuits to Gravitate. She's saving your communities. And of course, her many sports teams, including the Sacramento Kings, the Portland Thorns, and the Portland Fire. We're going to talk about you're never ready, so just go do it. They're going to talk about curiosity, positivity, and gratefulness. And we're going to get into what it means to be great friends, because these are two of my best friends. My life has been changed by them, and they're going to share their stories and change your life. Welcome to the show, and welcome to the Edge of Excellence. Well, this is exciting. We've got the troop here again. We've got Nicole and Lisa and Matt, the triumvirate, the greatest group of leaders this earth has ever seen. For not episode 1, we've already done that, not episode 100, episode 200, the last episode of season 7. We brought out the bigwigs. Nicole and Lisa, thank you as always for making time to help your good buddy Matt out and to help the world with this wonderful podcast. Today, about the rise of the female CEO. Welcome to the show, and welcome to the Edge of Excellence.
I love the energy, Matt. I love it.
Yeah.
So happy to be here to celebrate your 200 with you.
Thank you.
I think we should just rename this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should just rename this the Best Friends Podcast.
Best Friends Podcast.
The
Okay.
BFFs. We're our own tribe. We're the
And
BFFs.
I did have a question at the very end. I don't even know if I'm going to ask it, but I put it as my question, what's the secret to long-term friendships? But I was going to say,
We should start with that.
do you think men and women can be friends? Because there are people that don't think men and women can be friends.
I do. I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I do. And I think too, we're so close with your wife. I mean, but we three have known each other and been together for how long? I mean, 15 years.
Yeah, probably.
We have been through the worst experiences of our lives at the same time together.
Yes.
And some of the best experiences
true.
of our lives at the same time together. And the cool thing about us meeting, this is my favorite. We met on a charity board. I find that if you meet people on a charity board, those are going to be some of your tightest friends because they're doing things for others. They got the same value as you. And I always remember Lisa, because Nicole and I talk a lot. I just remember Lisa would just sit there, and then every once in a while she'd say something, and it was like the E.F. Hutton commercial, and everybody go, what?
Everybody listens.
Oh,
But I
Lord.
do think if we're starting with that question, the key to our friendship, and I guess to any friendship, is that we genuinely care and root for each other. Like, we cry for each other, we help each other, and we root for each other. And I think that's a rarity, because I know we've all talked about it before. Like, we don't want to have people who are friends with us, or you always have those friends, right? They're kind of envious at the same time they like you. It's like, even like Lisa with your outfits, like, oh, I love your outfit. Oh no, I would never get, and it's like, it's not that way with us. It's, we support each other. We are genuinely happy for each other. And, I haven't had friendships quite like it. It's really unique.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think it's whether it's a friendship or even a relationship, I always say to my husband, I love you for you. And I think it's the same with both you, Matt, and Nicole. I love you for you and not for any of the other reasons, anything that goes along with it. You both are extremely well accomplished. You are amazing, partners in your marriages. You're great parents, but like all of that, and you're very successful, but I love you for you. And I love our lunches and when we go out because I laugh hysterically.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And we have a group, it's called Comedy Central, our text thread, and we just laugh because Matt, you're a little crazy, and Lisa and I beat up on you.
Yeah. By the way, Lisa, before you came onto the call today, Nicole let me know that I was incredibly fat. And
Yes, I did
she's
say
like,
this. I said I was
I
worried. Yeah, I
didn't,
was worried
I
about
didn't
your
tell
health.
you how incredibly fat you were, but I was thinking about telling you that you were gigantically fat, and now you don't look so fat anymore. So I can tell you that you were fat. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you look skinny, Matt. You
Now you
totally
look
do. Like
skinny.
you're way smaller in that office.
Yes,
I'm
you
just, I'm
do.
just
It must
saying
be the
what's up.
camera angle.
It's the
No,
camera
but
angle.
seriously, I told him, I said, I was getting worried for your health.
This is what she tells me today.
I did.
At
I was worried
8:45 in the
about your
morning.
health. It's not
Worried
good
for
for
my
you.
Well, you have made an effort to be very much more healthy, and I think you look much more healthy.
Well,
Yes.
my cousin from England's here, and I've been very unhealthy. As we went through all these World Cup games, it was very difficult for me to make it through all these World Cup games because you're forced to drink beers at the World Cup. I don't know if you know this, Lisa. Even Richard had one beer every time he had one
He
beer.
did.
No, I had like 8 or 9, but I was I was forced.
Hence the unhealthy part. Yes.
Okay.
However, I did go to 2 of them and I had 0, but just putting
Wait,
it out
you
there.
went to 2 games?
I did.
I didn't know you went. Oh, you went to the ones up in San Francisco and Seattle, right?
San Francisco and Seattle, both U.S. men's national team. One great win, one sad day.
I had one great win of the U.S. national team and one not sad day because they were playing Turkey and they didn't really care. But I was with your husband and the Raj Mirage Barrage. And by the way, if you want to have a good time, you put Richard and all 3 of his boys in a car and drive for an hour and a half. You're gonna have a good time. Lisa's stepsons. Lisa has 2 children of her own, and her husband has 3 children of his own. So they have like the Brady Bunch, but I call it the Raj Mirage Barrage. And it is all boys. And it is crazy. And those 3 Mirage kids, they just poke their dad, just poke, 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 poke. It's pretty funny. And then we had a driver. So Muhammad's our driver, and he's like, those boys were really funny. We had a good time with them going to the game. Okay, we got to get to business because we're here to talk about the rise of the female CEO. We're here to get the raw and honest perspective from the corner office. Nicole's in her fake corner office right now. Lisa's in her home corner office. And we're going to just get into what it takes to be successful. And we'll talk a little bit about men and women. And I didn't mention my thing about the friendships, female friendships. I have, like, you two are my best. And then there's this other person, Kelly, who sometimes I interject.
We don't know Kelly.
Yeah.
I've known her for
No.
25 years. She lives in Park City. Her husband passed away a long time ago. So I've been looking out for her and her kids for years. Man, the 3 of you, mostly you two, but you don't get the opinion and you don't get the directness and you don't get the other perspective from just going to the same guys all the time, slapping you 5. Yeah, you're doing a good job. You go do it. Oh. And you guys are like, no, you're an idiot. You need to do it this way. And that's my favorite part of our friendship is the direction I get. And
Well, it's because we care about each other, right?
Nicole's laughing. It's because Nicole likes to be mean to me.
Yes, this is true too.
All right. So we want to talk about the keys to success. Between the 3 of us, we own 3 sports teams. We have a technology recruiting company, a construction company, a whole conglomerate of businesses between the 3 of us, all of us becoming very successful. What's one habit? We'll start with you, Lisa, since you own most of the sports teams. What's what?
Most. How about all? That could be it
Actually,
too.
there's 2 more. There's a G League team and a minor league baseball team. So it's
Okay,
actually
so
5.
between
Ooh,
the 3 of us, we
yes.
own 5 teams. We own
Yes.
5 dudes.
We are part of this,
We are part of the.
even though we're really not.
Nicole's never even gone to a game. Nicole, come
I
on.
know.
I know I'm going to go this year. I swear.
Yeah.
I swear it. I
I'm
swear.
gonna get her up there. I'm gonna get her.
Who turns down like going into the owner's suite and sitting courtside? Just want to know, but it's okay.
Who does that?
I know.
Who
I
does
know.
that? And when you're in the owner's suite, you're sitting with other professional athletes and you care about athletics. Like I'm this nerdy, hardworking, dorky guy.
Yes,
there
you are.
talking to Mike Wilson about, he just likes to talk about business, thank God, because I can't talk about sports. But you get these cool sports people. You get people that you know from down here that are up there somehow because they like to go watch the games. Nicole, you got to come.
I'm coming.
Go
I'm coming.
Thorns, go Fire, go Kings. What's one habit, Lisa, that's had the greatest impact on your success?
I think that it comes from my parents, and in a nutshell, it's about positive thinking. So my parents for years have said, failure is not an option, and we just don't. We have a mentality that's always about thinking of things in the positive light, and that really we could accomplish anything. I remember when I met Karina LeBlanc, who is a former World Cup athlete. She's former GM of the Thorns and now works for Raj Sports. And she said, like, what is one thing about you that people don't know? And I like was thinking about it, and I'm like, I basically am fearless. Like, I'm not really scared of anything. And it's probably something that from an early age, my parents instilled in me, like, you could do anything you like, you want to do, and don't be scared to try anything.
So
You know what's
you're
so funny, Lisa, is I am the opposite. I am afraid of everything. I am fearful of everything. And my friend, you guys both know her, Lindsay Ubroth, she calls me the bravest chicken she knows. And because I force myself to do things.
I
And
can't believe I didn't know this about you before,
oh,
though.
I am fearful because I have such anxiety about like jumping out of a plane or getting up and
of course.
leading in front of, doing discussions in front of thousands of people and even sitting across in my YPO forum and looking stupid in front of people. Like I force myself to be the opposite, and that's how I get through it.
Is that fear, or is that because I mean, I have that too. I have nervousness sometimes in situations, but is it fear, or is it just this is the mechanism we use as maybe it's women, I don't know, to perform better?
Maybe. I mean, I literally have to force myself to do things because I feel as though if I do it once and I get through, and then I'll keep doing it and I'll keep doing it until I guess the anxiety, right? And the fear of it go away. But it's funny. I didn't know that about you.
I didn't know
So,
that about either of you.
yeah,
Lisa,
that's interesting.
are you saying that you're positive thinking, you talk yourself out of the fear? Like you just know it's going to work out, so you lose your fear. You know it's
Yeah.
going to be okay, so you lose the
Yeah.
fear.
I have a deep peace and belief that things will work out for the best.
Yeah, I kind of think that I'm going to die at any minute. That
See, this is like
everything's going to fall
this is
apart.
non-youthful energy. We have to like move away from that. And we're gonna have a next lunch and we're gonna talk about this. No more low
Bring the
vibration.
mantra. Bring the mantra. Remember when Lisa showed up at lunch and she had that mantra and she was like, "Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da."
Yes, it was so good. I was so
It's so
impressed
good.
by that, actually.
Wow.
But yeah, I love
I'm
that.
gonna try to focus on being more positive and instead of just being afraid of everything, I'm gonna start being more positive and see if that eliminates some fear. I still do it all. I just think I'm gonna die doing it every time I do it.
But you also, Matt, like you're very grateful. You have like practice where you always talking about what you're grateful for,
That's
right?
true. That's very true. You do.
I didn't know I did. I am very grateful.
You told me about this. Did you forget?
I told you about my practice of gratefulness.
Yeah, like you would say, I'm thankful for, I don't know. I remember this was like a few years
when I
ago.
wake
Did
up
that
in the
come and
morning.
go?
Oh yeah, when I wake up in the morning, my little thing in the morning. Well, what I do is this a habit that's led to my success? I think it's led to a lot of marital success. I am very critical of my unfortunately married to me wife, and I would get caught up in this negativity, and so I started. And I forget who told me to do it. I think three things positive about my wife when I wake up in the morning before I get out of bed. And I think three things that I'm either grateful for or that are going to go well this day. And that kind of became part of my morning routine. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
Yeah, that's so
exactly.
interesting. You both, if you think about it, you both are very positive thinkers, right?
Think of myself
You're
that way.
promoting positivity. You're promoting gratefulness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think you're the same way, Nicole. You're just not giving yourself
yeah,
credit.
I think
Maybe,
this is
maybe.
why we have friend girls. All right.
This, just so the audience knows, this is a snapshot exactly of our lunches when we get together. Like this is just like
No,
our
this
normal
is
lunches.
censored because man may say some words he's not supposed to say.
Oh, that's right. That's
And I
right.
don't have any costumes on. I don't have a costume on.
That is true too.
Last time we went to
Yeah.
dinner, I dressed up exactly as Nicole.
That
We
is
did-
true.
we did-
Yes.
With a wig and a
Yes.
purse and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it was
Yep.
hilarious.
was good. It was. All right. What's your habit, Nicole, that brings the greatest success to you?
I am a very curious person. And so I'm always asking why. And it drives people crazy or how. and I'm interested in other people. I'm interested in process. I'm interested in people's lives. So I think really taking a genuine interest in people has served me well. And it's just something that's natural within. And then I think another thing, if you want something a little bit more tactical, applicable, it's really learning this kind of now later in my life is saying no. And I would tend to say yes early on to everything. And now I say no to almost everything because what happens is, unfortunately, I get too spread out and I don't do anything well. I do it at a mid level. And
She
so,
is hard on herself.
yeah, I'm hard on myself. But I feel as though I'm a high achiever. I want to do things. Lisa, you're very much like this too, and Matt to a certain extent. But wanting to do things to the best of your abilities, right? And showing
A
up
certain
and being
extent.
prepared. Yeah, certain extent. Oh. Yeah. I won't go into depth and embarrass you and humiliate you at a next level
But are you
podcast.
going to the fair with Matt tonight, Nicole?
I am. I'm going to go to the fair.
Because I said
Are you
no.
coming? Oh, you said no.
No,
Oh,
I
well,
said
you're not
no.
feeling good. You're not feeling good
I'm
either.
going to WNBA All Star in the morning. We have a Portland Fire game on tonight. The kids are home, and I have to pack. I said
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, of course.
I really
that's a
wanted
lot.
to say yes.
Yeah, I've got no kids home. My husband's traveling, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, he's like, "You want to go to the fair with my family?" I'm like, "Hell yes. Let's go. We're going to paint our faces. It's
Excuse
going to be
me,
fun."
Lisa. You've wanted to go to the fair with us. I
I
don't know how
know.
many times we've been, like 6 times together.
I know.
You've wanted to come every time.
I
You
know. But listen
never
to all I
come.
have going on. I can't go. I
Yeah,
have
so
to say
she has to draw the line.
Okay, then we're gonna take a bunch of pictures.
I want pictures of face painting,
I'm
please.
gonna get a fat head made of Lisa, and we're gonna bring it with us to the fair. She's gonna be involved in the pig races.
At least I'm not a doll or something.
I bring a lot of money to bribe all the workers to let us backstage, and we buy them barbecue. Like you buy someone a plate of barbecue, they're letting you in the pig race. You're missing out on this. Okay,
I know.
I've got a good question though, because this is Nicole's question. Oh, by the way, all these are Nicole's questions.
See,
But
prepping, saying yes to things versus no.
yeah,
You're
I,
welcome for this podcast. These are
yeah,
all my questions.
Meanwhile, he sent the questions last night, so
That's
I
right.
like haven't really thought about them yet.
Right.
Well,
so
no,
we'll see how
Nicole
this
sent the
goes.
questions at 4 in the afternoon. I converted the questions to an email and sent them out at 5 in the afternoon. It's Nicole's fault. Nicole, what is the
start?
Think about this. Think about this. Because I know you know the answer. I think you've told me this before. What's the one pivotal decision you made when you were young that just changed the rest of your future? What's the one thing? And I'll give you an example. It's hard to think about. It's like, is it getting married? Man, that was pretty big. Is it moving to California to go to college? That was pretty big. But I think for me, it was doing my little student painter business in college because I was going to be a lawyer and I'd be a horrible lawyer and I would have never met you guys. So that's my most pivotal decision I ever made. What's yours, Nicole?
So just tying this into my fear base, right?
Sure.
Got married young, 23 years old, moved from LA to Orange County and got in an industry. I was going to be an attorney, but got in an industry I didn't really know anything about. It was the staffing and recruiting business and did really, really well within that industry. And, 3 years later, I was recruited by a company and they barely had any revenue. And they said, "We want you to come over and run this company." And I took over a company at the age of 29. And I had partners when they were great. And they said, "Do your magic. We believe in you." They were super supportive of me. And I grew the business to, gosh, quite large within the first 3 years and pushing myself out of the fear that I would have had if I would have stayed back. I mean, really accelerated my life and the ability to do things for my kids and, with our family that I wouldn't have done. And if I looked back and I would have stayed where I was and not said yes and pushed myself through because I felt that fear tingle up. And every time I do, I say yes. It changed my life.
Were you ready for? I know the answer.
I don't think anybody is ever ready.
No one's
And
ever
I
ready.
think that's the biggest challenge that women face. We ourselves think we're never ready, and we are ready. And nobody has it all dialed in. You're going to go to a new opportunity, and there's going to be a learning curve, and you're going to have to learn. And it might be wider than others or not. But oftentimes if you don't say yes, you find yourself stuck working for other people that are less competent than you are, to be frank. And so say yes and put yourself out there. It's amazing what will happen.
All right. Lisa, what about you?
Okay, well, for the record, that question did not have when you were young in it.
Oh, it doesn't have
So
to be. It does have just the audience is young. The audience is young. So go ahead. Yeah, you're
the
young. What
audience,
are you talking about? You're
yeah,
young.
we're all young, haha. No, for me, I think the pivotal moment. I've had a few pivotal moments in my career because I look at it as three, well, three chapters, and there's like two big chapters that have led me to where I am today. So I think we talked about in another podcast how I started in our family business. So I graduated from college on Friday, went into the family business on Monday, which was in the fashion industry, and worked there for many years. Too many, I will not say how many because I will
Well,
quote myself.
that doesn't work, by the way. You have to go work in another company before you come to the family business. That's the only way it
Oh,
works.
I did that during college, though.
Oh,
I worked as an assistant buyer full time while I was finishing school.
just trying to poke you and poke your brother at the same time.
But yeah, right. But so I started at the bottom, worked my way up, eventually became co-CEO of our business with my brother, took it digital, took it global, and sold to private equity. And so I spent a career in women's consumer brands, we'll say, because we had our own and as well as licensed swimmer brands. Then my brother and I launched another business after we stepped down from that because we have problems sitting still and
Which I
can't
don't. Which
really.
I just for the record, Nicole, if you're as successful as Lisa and Alex are, it's time to take a break. It's time to take a break. Let some of us catch up. Like a little pause. Keep going.
So we started another business called Gravitate, which is an investment platform focused on real estate and the sports ecosystem. And in that role, it was a startup, and we started our own fund the first time with our own capital as well as some friends and family. And I had, in the meantime, joined four nonprofit boards. I think was one of them the one I was on with you. I don't think so. I think that was before that, but I was on four other boards. And my brother's like, okay, you know how to do this nonprofit stuff. You should be the chief impact officer. And I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, I'll figure it out. So I actually, during COVID, did a 10-month program at University of Pennsylvania on social impact strategy to help better prepare myself. So that goes back to kind of like what Nicole said about always being curious. It's also about always working to improve yourself. And just because you've done something for a while doesn't mean you can't go back and do one of these certificate programs and specialize yourself in a certain area. So then, that was a period of time. It's been, I think, about 7 or 8 years now where I work to measure the good that we're doing with our real estate investments, specifically in opportunity zones. So I measure the community impact, the jobs created, all of that goodness. And then in 2023, we started hearing about the rise of women's sports. And when I go back to the pivotal decision, it was a day that I went up to Portland to my first Portland Thorns match, and saw that was the Thorns were playing Seattle, Megan Rapinoe's last match, 26,000 people in the stands. And I always put this in perspective because the average attendance for Portland Thorns is 20,000 people. And if you go to an NBA or an NHL game where they're in arenas, on average, they hold 16 to 17,000 people. So our average attendance for women's soccer is higher than an NBA or an NHL game, which is crazy. And that was the tipping point for me and for our family to invest in the Portland Thorns. And that put me on a trajectory which blended every aspect of my career. It was women's consumer brands, it was social impact. And then now, part of my job as governor of both the Portland Thorns and the Portland Fire is to have a seat at the table at the Board of Governors and help shape the future of women's sports for generations to come. And I very much believe that is my purpose and why I'm here.
Were you ready for any of that? You got ready. You went to, was it Penn you went to take the classes? You got ready for Gravitate. Were you ready to take over it was a giant family business. You made every swimsuit that anybody wore in the United States or probably all over the world. Were you ready for that? Were you ready for the Gravitate? Were you ready for the sports?
No, it goes back to what Nicole said. You're never ready. You just have to put yourself out there. And, I hate when people talk about imposter syndrome because I don't actually believe in it. It's you just put yourself out there and do the best you can.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
Wow. And by the way, so you're saying that the Portland Thorns on an average game has more people in the stadium than the Sacramento Kings?
Yeah, it's actually
I
true.
did not know that. I mean, I've been to both stadiums. They're huge stadiums filled with people. I know that the Thorns make a lot more noise. Those soccer fans make a lot of noise with their drums and their fires and their smoke bombs. Nicole, you got to come to this.
I
You
know.
gotta
I'm
come.
going to. I'm going to. I want to get back to something that you said, Lisa. I think it's interesting about imposter syndrome because it's brought up for many people, right? And women tend to suffer from imposter syndrome more than statistically proven more than men. And it's funny because oftentimes people will say, "Well, how did you break the glass ceiling?" And I genuinely look at them and like, I didn't know there was a glass ceiling, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's part of a belief system. Like I
Yep.
never thought I was less than a man or that people were out for me. Like I do have a very positive, trusting, um, I'm a trusting person by
Mhm.
nature. And so I don't go into relationships and when I meet people and say they're out for me or I don't like that person. I enter a relationship trusting and then having people prove themselves wrong. But I never went in to any opportunity ever. And I don't know if it's been the same for you, where you felt there was a glass ceiling or someone going to hold you back, like with intent, or
No, never.
because
And
of your gender.
I,
I just
I
never
think
thought it.
I think it's that for me. I think part of it is honestly my parents because they started a business in the 1960s where my mom and my dad were equals. And my dad's originally from India. And it wasn't honestly until COVID that I don't know why. Like, I think with the BLM marches, I realized my parents had a mixed race marriage well before anybody was doing that. But in my mind, we were never different.
Yeah.
We were just like, of course my mom was in the room. Of course, like, I don't know, we didn't think of ourselves as different. So it's a mentality. It's a
Yeah.
shift of
And I
mentality.
do think you're right. If I look back and now both of my parents were equals and they each
Mhm.
owned their own business. And so I grew up with that. So
Yep.
I never thought there was it's really interesting. And Matt, I know your podcast is geared traditionally to younger people who are rising in their careers, but I find that a lot of younger people are going back to more traditional values where a lot of young ladies that I speak with and I say, well, tell me about your career, tell me about how you want to work to elevate within what, and they say, I want to stay at home, I want to raise my children, I want to be. And so you see this huge movement now, I don't know if you guys are seeing it, but of traditional values where the women are wanting to stay home and focus on raising their children, right? And where I never even had that thought. My parents
Mm.
both worked. I knew right when I got out of college, I was going to work right away. I worked like you, Lisa. I know your story. You worked, since you were so young and you were trying to work, right, to get your first job and
Yeah.
even lying about your birthday so you could work, right? And I've been working since I was 14. And so we just kind of grew up with that mentality. And I don't know if that shapes things differently, right? For versus imposter syndrome and seeing, hey, we can do whatever we want and just having that mentality.
So I don't know if I should say this. So you tell me if I shouldn't say this and then I'll cut it out. But I sometimes think that being a stay-at-home parent is, they say it's the toughest job. I don't think it's the toughest job. I think it's the toughest emotional and mental thing you could ever do, especially if you were working in your high performance and then you stop. You don't get thanked. You don't get rewards. You don't close deals. You don't win. You don't get any credit for anything. I think it's like I see with my wife, I think it's been very hard on her to not have a focus outside of the family, because I'm taking half the credit. I'm going to get half the credit no matter what. What do you think about that? That bad for me to say?
No, I don't think it's bad. I think it's very true, right? I think that the thankfulness that comes in is innate and it's for myself, for Jill to look at and say, here is what I've crafted my life around. And it's really in that for others, right? It's your children. It's you look at them. And I think that, I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the podcast, but how Lisa and I have worked our entire lives. And, we've had to make some tough decisions around, work things versus raising our children and what's really important and that we must be at. And of course the guilt, I'm sure Lisa and I both, have certain levels of guilt that come in, but I don't think it's a bad question. I think it's very true. And I think it's very difficult to be a stay-at-home mom because I do think that the gratitude level there is almost non-existent.
No.
Right. And then your product, which is your children, they're sassing you back and they're not even being nice and they're telling
my
you
gosh.
things.
You guys, I will trump all of this. And that's called being a stepmother. Because at least your kid can give you hugs. When you're a stepmom, you do all of that and you don't get any hugs or love.
Right.
And
right.
you're a stepmom to a pack of wolves. To a pack of
No, they are growing into young men who are being shaped.
Well,
So
so first of all, I need to shout out to our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Von Vogel for CEO. Von Vogel for CEO is our sponsor of this podcast. So you guys, I mean,
nobody knows who that is, by the way.
Yeah,
It's-
it's Lisa's
no,
son.
everybody in my company knows
Lisa's
who
son.
Von Vogel. Everybody knows we go to where Vaughn is for all of our corporate retreats because Vaughn is fun and Vaughn for CEO. I think about your guys' kids. I mean, you guys have perfect kids. Like you do. Your kids are perfect. Like
Isn't that something that you always see outside? But
Right.
give me a break. Everybody knows. Nicole knows. Nicole's trying really hard to make her kids less perfect at my expense. They keep sending me little messages about my behavior.
That is true, by the way.
and-
They watch your behavior and they say, Mr. Stewart, I don't know. I think you could have made a better
They
decision.
send me videos. They send
They
me
do.
videos.
They
send
do.
me videos.
wait, can we go back to the staying at home thing? Because I just had like a couple of thoughts around that. One
Yeah.
is people have often said to me, like, how do you do what you do? And I say, shh, don't tell anyone, but going to work is easier than being at home. Like,
So
I
true.
fully believe that.
100%.
Yeah,
100%, Lisa.
And
Oh
then,
my
and then,
gosh.
right? And then the other thing that happens is I remember my son was dating somebody and he said, I don't know, mom, if she's going to have a career. I know, like you've always said, you should, I've always said to the boys, like, make sure you're with somebody who you respect for the rest of your life. And I'm like, that's great if they work, but if they don't, just make sure they're going to be the CEO of your household because that is a business that they're running. They're running the kids, they're managing the house. There's so much to manage that, you just want to make sure you have a partner who's going to be, run it like a business in that way. So it could
And who's a partner, right?
Yeah,
I mean, who's a partner? And I think that's so important. And I think if you see, some of the best marriages of women who stay at home, I mean, they really run it like a business. Like, no, this is how our family, these are our values. And they don't take their foot off the gas. I mean, they work hard. And I agree, Lisa, when I had Caden, our kids are 3 years apart, and we would have someone come in and help us. And she would get there, I think around 7 every day. And I remember after the weekend, I would be skipping and jumping out. I'm like, have a great day. See you later. Call me if you need anything. And it's
Oh.
because going to work was easier
Yeah.
than being home all the time. And I think that's what I tell women that all the time, and we laugh. And they're like, yes, it is a hard, thankless job, which I have a ton of respect for. A ton.
So you must have had boundaries though, right? I mean, how do you do that? I'm not exaggerating. Like you guys did a perfect job. You did a perfect job. What boundaries did you have to put in place at work and at home to make sure you could do both?
Nicole,
Both
you
of
want
us
to
are
go
like,
first?
it's really hard. It's really hard because we've talked about this many times at our lunches, and you always hear this, can you have it all? No, you cannot have it all. And I do. I take more of your positive views, the both of you, that you can.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it's over a time period, and you can have it all. You can have great kids and you can have a wonderful relationship with your husband, and you could have an even greater success with your business. But you've got to look at the ebb and flows of it and know and compartmentalize what's important for each. What's important right now in my business that I need to attend to? What's important in my children's lives? What's important in my personal life and my life with my husband? And I think if you really lay it out and are keen into understanding what the most important things are and when, you can have it all. And so I look at it almost that like it's almost like in seasons, right? Like my business comes up in a certain season and I know I have to be intense around running and doing some certain things then. And then I know that there's very important seasons or time periods with my children and that things that I don't want to miss. Right. And I've got to tell you, I'm 54 years old. I look back now in my life and I look at where my business, my relationships, my children, and I was there and I was present and at the most important things that meant the most to them. And, I was able, I think, to back and say, and look forward, right? My career is not even half over yet, but that I can have it all. You just need to know.
Oh, wait a second here. Our careers are well over half over. What are you talking
No.
about?
I
We are
already have
not-
this thing. You
You're
know my
not
theory,
going to
right?
90.
I'm
I
living.
can't-
Oh, yes, I am. I'm
You're not gonna
living
work till you're
past
90.
90.
No,
Yes,
living.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna
we
live.
are.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
and
live
I'm
way
not going to
past
never
90.
work. I'm not going to not ever work. I'm not.
Working keeps your brain sharp.
It is. I will always work. People tell me all the time, when are you going to retire? Never is the answer. I'm never retiring. I'm not going to.
I
I'm
need a
going to.
nap. I need a nap after this.
Oh my gosh. So I agree with what Nicole said. And I think I got stuck on the boundary question because it's not really about boundaries. It's really about prioritization,
Yeah.
which is exactly what Nicole is saying. We have all these things. And I think prioritization is a major skill set for business as well. Even to this day, we have somebody in our company who will go in and she usually sits with my brother and business partner. And she's like, okay, here's my list. And there is a skill to learning how to prioritize things and what are the most important things that have to get done and what are the least important things that can wait until later. And it's the same thing, I think, with your family. There's certain things in business you have to attend to, but then, oh, there's my husband over here and my kids over there. And what am I going to prioritize at this time? Just like Nicole said, whether it's, graduations or projects or, a trip. And saying no to other things. And, I think I've learned to say I can't do that with some things, especially with my brother as my business partner. We flipped recently where now that I'm almost an empty nester. I have freedom and time. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to fly up to Portland and go to that game on a Wednesday. And he's like, I can't do that. I have my son at home and he has soccer practice. So where I used to say, no, I can't because I have to be at this and that with the kids. Like now he's doing that. And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll represent our family at the game.
Yeah. And I
So-
think sometimes too, what does suffer because I travel so much and I'm with our family so much, I think if I had to look at one thing that has really suffered has been my friendships with others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sell those damn houses. Sell
Yeah.
those houses. Quit traveling.
I
to
just
these
sold one. I
miserable
just
places.
drove
Thank
back
God.
yesterday.
I literally
God.
feel the same way, Nicole, between going back and forth with Portland. It's so hard right now.
Yeah. And
That
it's
is hard.
where, we can't even find a time, us three, to get together.
Because Nicole, you are never here. You decided to live in 2 different states. Montana is not as good, and Montana's pretty badass. But Nashville
Tennessee, I know.
sucks.
Okay.
Is
we
it
will-
Nashville or wait, no, what's outside of Auburn?
Oh, we have a
there's
house
that
in
one. There's
Auburn
that
too.
one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Don't forget about
Like
that
what
one.
city is that? I don't even know what city that is. where you bought
It's
that
Auburn,
house.
Alabama.
Yeah, I don't even know what state that is. So what, Nicole, you said you can have it all, and I'm going to add to it. You can have it all, but you can't do it all. And
That's right.
I think you might have hit something, Lisa. I think maybe really successful people, and usually like the people we know, maybe it's the filters we use, they're doing pretty good with their kids. They're doing pretty good with their marriage. They're doing pretty good with their community. They're doing pretty good with their job. Maybe these people that we know are just great at prioritization. And you said the ebbs and flows. When you have little kids, like I remember Greg Mirage, he would call me all the time and say, let's go skiing in Jackson Hole. We're flying to Jackson Hole. Get on his plane, go to Jackson Hole. I never said yes. I've never been to Jackson Hole skiing. And he's like, what is wrong with you, dude? You love to ski. I'm like, I got little kids, dude. Now he has little kids.
Yeah. Now
And
he's in the
so
same boat.
when you have those kids up to 16 years old, that's the flow, right? That's the family flow. You need to be there for family. So you're going to skip something. So we didn't maybe spin the friend plates, and we didn't maybe spin the travel plates. And
Well,
we didn't-
and I did not do a good job before of spinning the partner spouse plate because I got divorced after 13 years of marriage when my kids were 4 and 7, I think. And that was a hard lesson that I had to learn was I have to make sure I'm giving attention to my spouse. And now, my husband Richard and I've been married 10 years.
have you been married 10
And
years?
yeah, 10
Time is
years.
flying.
And we do date night every single week. And I make sure that, he's a priority and he's getting the attention that he needs as well.
Wow. Wow. It's two surprising things. I thought you guys have been married for way longer than 10 years. And I thought you'd had the Portland Thorns for way longer than 3 years. Time is flying with that team. Well, that's interesting. How do you handle the competition between, how do you do the prioritization? You get the work and the brother and the parents and the other siblings and the family and the community and the charity and the boards that all of us are involved in. How do you handle the competition so you're able to prioritize?
You're literally saying that and my chest starts beating.
I know. It started giving me anxiety. And this, and
'Cause
this,
we
and
don't-
it starts running
um,
through my head, all my to-dos.
But I
Yeah.
think that's part of it is that I don't in my head list it out in that way because I think that's super overwhelming.
Yes,
Okay.
very much so.
Lists
Thanks
like
for
that
the
are very
anxiety
overwhelming.
boost.
So
Yeah.
are you focusing on one thing and ignoring everything else, and then pop your head up, look around, go, okay, I'm going to focus on this thing and ignore everything else? How do you not get that to-do list out? How do you not?
Well, it is a to-do
Get
list. Like Nicole, you said that too. And that is literally the same for me. And even my brother, who's a guy, is I have different lists for like I have my to-do list and it has work, it has, family, it has everything
Yeah,
is on
like-
there. It has my
like-
nonprofit work.
Like here, I have it. Okay, these are the things that I've got to get done after this call. And they're different, right? There could be with my kids, there's business there, financial things that are so it's just, you look at all your buckets and you say, what are the most priority things that I need to do today for the future?
And
right?
what am I not going to
get
get
it done.
done because it's not important during this ebb or flow? And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they do everything crappy as opposed to a few things awesome. And I think maybe that prioritization is really.
Well, I
it's-
think knowing too, right? I've met so many women, as you know, I lead classes for female executives, and the guilt level, right? That they have to be perfect and spinning all plates at the same time, even though they have two hands.
Why is it
and-
different for women than men?
I think I'll give you an example really quick of myself, right? So my husband and I, both CEOs of companies, and COVID hits, and we are both working from home, right? And I have the kids. I'm like, everyone does their own bathrooms. Everyone's cleaning. It was a great thing having my son learn how to scrub showers. It was hilarious. And I said, Reed actually cooks, but like if the kids get sick, or I am more maternal and want to be there to take the kids to the doctor, not because I have to, because society says that's who I need to be, but it's because I want to do those things, right? I want to step forward and to take care of the kids and do some of these things, even though I work full time. And even though it does fall in more of a traditional type role, I want to do those things because it's important to me. So I think it lends itself back to that.
Let's shift into that, women in leadership and these little differences. The barriers have come down a lot in my lifetime, but there's still a bunch up there, and you kind of alluding to them. What barriers still exist for women aspiring to be executives that don't exist for men?
I actually would flip that on its head because I actually think that there is so much opportunity for women nowadays. And look, I only have sons and I see what's happening with the girls, especially having like these sports teams. Girls are rock stars. Girls are doing a bazillion things. Like you look in high school, they are getting 4.6. They're playing sports. They're involved in community. They started this club. They started that. I mean, they are literally rock stars. And the boys are kind of like still trying to figure it out. I think that at a little bit of a change in society where there will be more equality happening in the future. And I'm rooting for the girls and I'm doing my work to make sure that, I can make a difference for women in sports in the future. But I'm also rooting for the boys. And, you see it. It's like the boys, the executive function doesn't really finish developing until age 25. And I think we'll see much more equality in the future. When we're in Portland, we see as many boys wearing Portland Thorns jerseys or Portland Fire jerseys, I should say, as the girls. It's very equal.
Yeah, I love it. I'm seeing that emergence as well. And even through the courses that I teach for the women in leadership classes, I am I tell these women, just apply for these positions because there are so many companies looking for you. Just apply because they say yes, right? Women, I don't know if you've heard the statistic, and I don't know the exact number, but in the United States, in the last 5 years, there's more female homeowners that coming out in their 20s than there are men. So single women are purchasing and buying homes more than men. It's really flipped the trajectory. And so I do see, and I'm rooting for them both, right? Because I used to be just a staunch advocate for women and young girls getting into whatever career that they want. But what I'm finding now is it's almost a discrimination against males and young boys. And so, and I have a son, right? And Lisa, you have all boys. And so, I'm rooting for them both, but I think you're right. I think the opportunity in front of women, if they take it, is there. And it's for them to lose. I think there's women have demonstrated great acumen at all levels. And I think there's parity there.
You think that there's something to like the after school pastimes changing and the amount of video games and I mean, I know everybody's scrolling their reels and everybody's on their social media. I think you would know, Lisa, because you used to have that video game sports team. Are boys spending more time playing video games, and I call it rotting your brain, which I shouldn't say to someone that owns a sports team that's a video game sports team. You think boys are spending too much time doing that and that's creating a gap? And I know the maturity thing. I know women mature. I know they get their executive function earlier, but do you think it's getting worse as boys spend more time just screwing around on their video games?
I don't know if I would blame it on like one thing like video games. I think there's just a lot of things in society that have shifted in general. And, it's a new generation, but I have a lot of faith in Gen Z. I think that Gen Z is filled with people who care about the planet and the community, but are also working really hard. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the future holds.
Okay, so the world's changing. There's opportunities for rock star girls and boys that are rock stars becoming men and women. I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap this up, because I know you all have to get back to owning all these
My
sports
list.
teams,
My
building
The
all these
list.
My
companies,
list.
doing all these
I
list things.
I'm staying
I
home
have a
today and I still had my assistant
oh.
take a picture of my hot list on my computer. So
Oh
it
no!
it to
Oh
me.
no! Oh no! Well, what can organizations do to create more opportunities based on merit and potential?
Well, I'll tell you in Portland, what we've done is we've launched the first opportunity for a training program in women's sports. I think a lot of people want to go to the business of sports nowadays. When we talk about what you're saying about with video games and people having their individual social scrolls, no one's going to want to see robots playing sports. We've heard that before. And we don't think this is an area that's going to be replaced by AI, but people love sports. And there's only so many teams that exist. So we've created this program where college seniors can apply to come in, and we're actually training them on ticketing and sales. And the goal with it is to, bring up their skill sets, and some may stay with our company and our organizations, and some may move on to other teams. But we're trying to, really create something different within the women's sports business for them.
And so they're coming in working in the back office.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to regret saying that on this podcast. And by the way,
it's great. We want more applicants. We have our first class, and it's amazing.
If you want to reach Lisa, you can get her at Gravitate or the Portland Thorns or the Portland Fire. And you're right. And I love Gen Z. There's a lot of people that want to go in the sports business. They know that all the advertisements is in sports. They know that there's not going to be AI robots in sports. There's a lot of people. So if you're interested in the Thorns program, check out Lisa at the Thorns. What about you, Nicole? What do you think?
I think one thing that we could do that would have a lot of impact, and it kind of dovetails nicely with what you said, Lisa, is to show people a real pathway for advancement. There are so many women that leave. I'm in IT, right? So I'll just use that. IT, 55% will leave within 10 years altogether, not to go to a different company in IT, but not to raise a family. They'll just choose a different direction for themselves. And it's because they do not see an opportunity or a pathway for elevation within their careers. And I think even starting with the most junior level people that come into your organization is showing them there's a real pathway for advancement here. And this is how and what you do. And all careers need to be linear. If you look at almost all C-level executives, they're not a linear path. Sometimes people take completely different pathways into different organizations or even within the same organization, but really a holistic view of the entire operations, from marketing and jumping to technology and then looking in accounting. And so there's no linear path. If someone were to sit down with these individuals, even, people who have been in their careers 20, 30 years and say, here's your pathway, where do you want to go? And taking the time, you'll get people who are really motivated to stay within the organization and grow themselves. And so I think by far that's really one of them, the programs to do that.
And businesses are so bad at that. They're so bad at putting together a chart of linear or nonlinear. Here's your path to leadership.
Right.
That's a great reminder. Well, Sharon, is that what our name is? What's our name again? Mike and Sharon, right?
Mike and Sharon.
Yeah,
What
by
is
the way,
Mike and
Big
Sharon?
races.
Oh,
We had to
no,
rename ourselves out of
we have alter
embarrassment.
egos. We have alter egos.
Oh my gosh, I don't have one.
We're Mike
I'd
and
be
Sharon.
Nicole. Leah's be Matt.
We're Mike and Sharon today at the fair.
At the fair, the pig races.
Oh, at the fair. Okay, shoot, you didn't ask about the book question. I had a good one for that.
Okay, let's ask about the book question. What's a great book that helped you succeed in business, Lisa? What's the one that you can think of?
Okay, so I am going to go with The Devil Wears Prada.
I love that.
Oh.
And this is one that I read years ago when I was in my 20s, before it was a movie. And I'll tell you, it's kind of for two reasons. One is I looked at the editor and I was like, I don't want to be like that. I want to be kind, warm, welcoming, and patient with people in my organization. So that was an example for me. And the second thing is that I learned that how you show up matters. And I remember at the time, I was heading to New York and I had a meeting with the fashion editors, and I had a book club with a bunch of other female lawyers. And I said, hey, you guys, and they said, this is ridiculous. This doesn't happen. This isn't real. And I said, it does. Like, I'm leaving after this to go get my nails done in this specific, ballet slippers pink, because I know when I'm meeting with them, that is the color that the Vogue editors want to see. And it's a super superficial thing. But we ended up having this conversation about how you dress for success and how you show up. And if you take care in your personal appearance, it actually matters. And one of the lawyers that was there said, oh yeah, actually, that's funny. I was wearing this nice suit the other day and a partner noticed and commented. And I'm like, yes, it's really important to show up professionally in the workplace. And again, I have a lot of faith in Gen Z with this in the future, but these little things, I think, just like one of many things that matters to help you get ahead.
It's Lisa, you are 100%. And I get asked this question constantly. Does it really matter what I look like at work and how I show up? And it's really dress for the job that you want.
Yeah.
And I agree. I cannot double down enough in everything that you said. From you looking at the fine details on, hey, I'm going in and this is the color of nail polish that they're pushing, and I am going to do that. It's because you care. It's the details that matter. And so if people would just think of those things, that what are the details that make a difference? It matters how you show up. I never will forget, I went into Facebook. They were a customer of ours at the onset. And I was up in Palo Alto and we were up in the Bay Area, and I had on suits going from one client to the next. I walked into Facebook and they said, if you ever come in here in a suit again, they said, we aren't going to work with you because you're not demonstrating our culture and that you care enough to look like us. The next time I was in a suit, I ran around, did my whole thing up there. I changed in the car. I put on like a pair of jeans and a sweatshirt when I went in. So it's knowing that's such a great point. I love that.
I've totally done that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember being at a company here in Orange County. It's very conservative. I will not name it, but keeping a pair of nylons in my glove box and putting the nylons on before I went in there, because that was, I mean, they're so conservative. So yes, I think it's so important.
Prioritization. It's what
It
you guys are
is.
talking about. It's
That's a great point.
priority.
And actually, that's my favorite movie, by the way.
What's the we'll end with you.
Mine's
We'll end with the book question.
Infinite Games by Simon Sinek. And it really demonstrates playing for the long game. And in the end, your legacy is measured by how many leaders you create, not necessarily the type of company and the revenue, but that goes along with kind of my mantra, right? Is helping grow and help women in IT and develop leaders. So I love that naturally. It's everything that I am. So that was a great book.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing all these stories. And thank you for making time. And thank you, Nicole, for pushing me to do the 200th episode, because I was just going to do it next year. So I really appreciate it. I wanted to go out number 200 with a bang. I wanted to bring the best people I know on to share their experience. I'm so looking forward to going to the fair and sending Lisa all the pictures and getting Nicole to break her diet and eat that fried butter. Thank you for making time for coming on the show and being part of the Edge of Excellence.
Thanks, Matt. This was great.
Always anything for you, Matt.
Thanks, Lisa.